kingdom rich with culture and people, but behind the smiles lies a dark history. The Khmer Rouge was a communist party in Cambodia from 1975 to 1979, led by Pol Pot. Khmer means Cambodian, and Rouge is French for red. During the Khmer Rouge, the leaders led Cambodian genocide and led to social engineering. The Khmer Rouge controlled all aspects of life, like what they wore, who they talked to, and even how they acted. Intellectuals, miners, and some of their own soldiers suspected to be traitors were killed. My father lived in the countryside in Cambodia and tells the chilling story of life during the Khmer Rouge and how he was almost killed.
My name is Hoi. My last name is Yi. When they took power, everyone tried to go back to where they came from. You know, I was a teacher, but when they took over, they eliminated the education department. They don't have education anymore, so I lost that job. I wasn't teacher anymore when they took over, and I was on the northwest province city of Cambodia named Bat Dambong. That's the richest province that they produce a lot of rice. It's the number one rice producer in Cambodia. So my relative and I, decided to go back to Takeo province of where we came from. So they kick all the people out, and we go there, and we about 30 kilometers out of Bat Dambong, and it's night time. So we slept there and cooked, and we continue tomorrow. And then the next day, tomorrow morning, we almost moved towards our, what they call that, the hometown. And they said, no, it's the Khmer Rouge, Normally, although at those days, when the war was over, there is no, it's just the army, the Khmer Rouge, the soldier. And they scare heck out of us. They said that you cannot continue your trip anymore because the U.S. airplane going to bomb along the road number 5, from Bat Dambong to Phnom Penh, which is the capital of Cambodia. So they kick us out 3 kilometers from the national route. And the plan, during the time we lived there, they try to eliminate the educated people from top to bottom. They kill the teacher, they kill the professor, they kill superintendent, they kill the commander in the army, from sergeant to up to the general or something like that. It's a lot of technique that they use to kill the people over there. They try to clean out the Cambodian society, let's put it this way. Clean up mean they kill the educated people, and only the ignorant people left. So they're easy to rule that. And it's a scary government you ever seen. They have one night, one of the security, I talked to him this morning, that's the next morning, I suppose we sleep that night. The next morning he said that, you almost pee on my head. And I said, what the hell are you doing in there? He said, no, that guy, such and such, send me to listen to you, what you talk at night. And they destroy the big house to build a small house and something. It's very awkward government. I never seen that. I never seen that. It's a different. And they kick all the people out of the city, every city in Cambodia, not just one city. And believe it or not, you can see, like millions of people in one city try to go in one way or two way. Every street is full. You move maybe, maybe 100 meters per hour or half an hour, something like that, very slow. They try to clean the Cambodian society to, to go to their way. So that's why it scared people. And they kill a lot, oh boy, I tell you, they kill too much.
When did Pol Pot come to power?
Come to power in April 17, 1975. And the war started, I think, in 1970, almost 4 or 5 years, when they toppled the law and order backed by the U.S. government. They kick them out and they become power. But the community cannot come power without the help from the former king, Sihanouk. Because Sihanouk is a very popular king in Cambodia in those days. And that long story, you don't want to hear that. That's a long story, until they, one guy toppled King Sihanouk, and King Sihanouk doesn't agree with that, so we go to China, and China have him 100%, and then they use a radio from Peking, to excite Cambodian people to go to, the jungle and fight against the government of, the republic. Before it was a monarchy, which run by the King Sihanouk, King Norodom Sihanouk. That's the king. And then the king kind of give a hand to the Viet Cong, the Vietnamese Revolution or what the heck it is, and then some military bases and on the Cambodian territory, which is Cambodian is a neutral country. So he go on the Viet Cong side and give the, military bases to the Vietnamese. They can build them in Cambodian territory. And then, a lot along the Khmer, the Cambodian and Vietnamese border, there's a Vietnamese base in there, military base in there. Okay, when I like that, he's a general by the name Lon Nol, topple him, and, dethrone him. So that was the Lon Nol backed by the U.S. government. So now the Lon Nol fight against Sihanouk. But the people keep going to Sihanouk's side because they, they were very complicated. And then, the Sihanouk, which back up the Khmer Rouge, won the war. And won the war, Sihanouk was in Peking. The Khmer Rouge don't allow him to come to Cambodia until later on. And they come to Cambodia, he cannot do nothing because the Khmer Rouge kill all his Sihanouk follower, or what the hell you call it, those who follow Sihanouk, from general to everyone who the big guy, the big guys that work for Sihanouk, they wipe them out. And so Sihanouk, when he came to Cambodia, he cannot do nothing. Just stay there as a figurehead. A couple of years on it, the Khmer Rouge jail him, so he cannot do nothing on that. So the Khmer Rouge has full power to do anything they want. They have no market, they have no currency, they have no schools, education. One thing they have is that the schools that educated the people on, let's put it this way, indoctrinated the people in Cambodia, to become communists. Listen to the government, the people had to count on the government, not count on their parents and everything, So the government is a main supporter of the people in Cambodia in those days. So, like they give you food, but the food, the food that you get out of the city, you have some food eaten there, but the food doesn't last forever. 2 or 3 months we run out of supply. So when you run out of supply, you get supply from the Khmer Rouge. So the Khmer Rouge grab your life, everything, from every corner. And then later on, 1 or 2 years later, you don't trust your sister don't trust your brother don't trust your parent. They isolated the individual from their family. So if you talk to your sister, you better be careful. Don't do something. If your sister reported to the Khmer Rouge that you are the one who's in trouble, see. So, and some of the children, they kill their parents because they are very loyal to the Khmer Rouge too. That happened all the time in Cambodia. Yeah. That's why I cannot stay there. It's a horrible, it's a barbarous government I ever seen. No, they go backward. Like they destroy the big house and they build it a small hut. Is that right? No. And like the motorcycle, they try to, when you, like the clothes, when you wear the colors, they said, yeah, you are capitalist. And they hate capitalists. They hate Americans so badly. It's horrible, and that's a true story that's why I had to get out. But I didn't think that I come to this country, no.
And you left alone?
I left alone, my family in Cambodia, because normally the husband is the most vulnerable to themselves more than the woman. Yep.
How old were you when you fled and you had a family?
Yeah.
You had children?
PK and PT, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. I guess I didn't realize that they were born there. I was thinking they were.
No, they born there.
Okay,
they born there. PK and PT was 3 or 4 years old in those days, and I don't want to get involved in that. Let them go there because they are safer than me. Yeah. My life was in danger more than them, so I live in them, and I come to here.
And how many years was it before you were reunited with them?
With that, and when I got into Bangkok, my wife and my 2 sons come behind me too. And the way I knew that when someone run to Thai behind me, after me, and when they come after me, he said that, did you see your wife and your son? I said, no. No, they come, about a day or 2 after you. And so in that day, I was so sad, I don't know what to do. Okay. And when I stayed in Bangkok about 1 month, and I stayed in the camp about a couple of weeks, and they move about 470 people from Nong Chan, the camp, refugee camp in Nong Chan, to Bangkok, and go to Lumpini. Lumpini was a transit. No, from Nong Chan in those days, they pick up. They have a 7 or 8 bus that took those people who have a name on their list. About almost 470 or something people from Nong Chan, the first camp, and we moved to Bangkok and to Lumpini in Bangkok. So at that time, I heard the story of that. So when I heard the story of that, by the time as I knew that, I almost flew to U.S. Okay, by that time I have one friend, a Christian friend by the name Alex Campaign from England. So I talked to her and I told her and I gave her a name and something because she went to all the Khmer refugee camp in Thailand territory. And after that, when I come to this country, I wrote a letter to the U.S. Embassy in Bangkok, U.S. Embassy in France, and the American Red Cross and everything to look for them. By the time I'm looking for them, the Thai government sent them back to Cambodia. I think almost 30,000 people through the mountainous Cambodia, through the landmine and a very dangerous spot. I was so worried very much about that. And I got here and we flew from Bangkok to Karachi to Copenhagen with the DC-10 at that day, I remember. And then we flew from Copenhagen with the 747 to Glasgow. And I landed in Logan Airport in Boston on July 20 at 10 p.m. And since I got there, I tried to find them. My son, 2 sons, and his mother went back, by the Thai government with the other people too. And it's a horrible life for them, horrible experience when they turn back to Cambodia. So the landmine and everything, and across the top high mountain and everything on the northwestern Cambodia. Yeah. And they come back there. So I got a letter from U.S. Embassy being in Bangkok, and the agency that have written the letter to, they couldn't find it, and my son and his mother went back to their homeland in Cambodia, and then they tried to come back again. Finally, I got him into this country in 1981, about 2 years later. Yeah. And I live, I live in Boston learning English and as a second language in there about 6 or 7 months. So then I moved to Oregon, to Eugene, Springfield, Oregon, to go to Lane Community College in there. And I got them when I was in Eugene, Oregon. I got both my son and his mother back to the U.S. 1981. But I couldn't remember the month and something else now. Yep. I graduated in I think in June 6th. I think in June 6th, 1987. And I had talked to the, what we call the placement office director. They have a director placement office in there. I said that, sir, whoever hire me first, I'm going to go for that company. And at that day, I applied about 20 companies across the U.S., including Florida and everything, and including Midcoff Lumber Company in Petersburg. Maybe you know that. Maybe you don't, because they closed down in 1990 because I got that job. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I worked for, they call me, the operation manager by the name of Tom Gillespie called me on Friday night. He said, are you Hoy? I said, yeah. Are you looking for a job? I said, yeah. And, I am, I'm a Cambodian, I'm a foreigner, I just getting out of school, I have no experience at all, and I'm looking for work. And he said that, so why you come up here to work for her? I said, yeah, I'd go, and he said, you know how much you get paid per hours? And I said, no, I don't care about that. I care about, learning my experience, getting my experience first before, I'm thinking about the money, how much I make. He said, yeah, come up here. So I came up here. After, I think it's only 1 month after my graduation ceremony, I got that job. And on Saturday, I move up. I think I move up that night, and Saturday I fly up here. I don't know where Petersburg is. That is true, I don't. So I just get on the airline, Alaska Airline, and and go here. And I got there. I got a job, and I work on the other side where Tonka, you know where it is, and I work there for 12 hours a day or something. It made good money, for plus overtime too. And so that's why I come here. And 1 month was rain day and night. I don't like it. So I have a company in Oregon. They call me that, yeah, we're going to pay you $15 an hour. I got 14, and this. And with Midcoff Lumber, I'm not greedy. I don't, so they get 15 because it's so cold, and in the winter and fall, I go up in the mountain and snow about 2-3 feet deep. My God, I said, what I'm doing here? I came from 120-degree country, and so I asked Tom to go back down there. So I load up the car and everything and go on the Columbia back down to Seattle and go to Oregon. And then the day later, they said, no, we cannot pay you 15, we pay you 12. I said, no, you don't. So I said, no, give me my stuff. I pack it up, and I called Tom. I said, hey, is my position still open? He said, you planning on coming back? I said, yeah, they pay me only 12 hours instead of 15. Okay, coming up here. So I pack up my car again and go the same Columbia. I come up here and stay. I never leave, never left town again. So far, yeah, yep. No, I'm just I just don't know. But the point is that some people, when I work for Midcoff, I saw one scaler. The scaler, You know, they grade the wood. They say, no, the communists, all the communists are not bad. I said, yeah, they are not bad because you live here. And if you live in Cambodia, I'm talking about communists in Cambodia, not in Laos, Vietnam, or China or Russia, because I've never been in those countries. But you in Cambodia, you don't want to be with them. You sleep, you don't want to talk, and they, you know, when they open the, you know, the common kitchen, that means one kitchen they feed like 4,000 or 5,000 people. They round up all your silverware, your cooking stuff, and everything. So you have to live with them. You have to depend on them 100%. You don't have you don't have a freedom or nothing at all. No. And you know, they try to, that you planning something around your house. You know, you cannot eat them. And they have a committee, you know, like formed by 4 or 5 people to go to every small hut. I don't call a house because just like 8 by 8 feet, you know, and live with 3 or 4 people or 5, 6 people, you know, with children and everything. And they want me to be in that committee too. I said, no, you know, I worked as a farmer in those days, and then about a year later, they said that, you know, they want me to pedal the bicycle with a trailer. Have you seen that, with trailer with 2 wheels, and carry some people, you know, in Asia, like in Thai or in Vietnam or in Cambodia and Laos. Yeah, so I you know, I work for them on that. They call, you know, transportation department. I work for them. That you have more food to eat than the other people, you know, the farmer, real farmer, because you cannot live with you know the condensed milk. You know how big the can is. That can, they give you a full can of rice like that for 25 people. You can eat that? No, you can't, because 25 people with 1 can of rice. How much you have to make porridge, but the porridge, like you know, 1 scoop that you pull it in, maybe you see 10 or 20 pieces of rice in there. And so you have to do, and they don't want you to get some food by yourself neither, even though they don't have food, enough food for you to eat. You don't go anywhere to find food by yourself. You're in big trouble. See, I'm glad to see that Pol Pot died with 3 planks of wood. I like to see that damn thing. I hate them very much. I hate every communist leader in the world. I'm not just in Cambodia, but I heard that Laos and Vietnam, they have better government. They don't kill like Cambodia. Cambodia, they kill, you know, like the radio and the news. I heard about 1 million. I said 3.5 million at least, because one hospital that I took the sick people to, you can see like, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 people carrying out and bury in you know, in the yard, in the cemetery here. And they don't, they swell, you know, they swell like 1 people. I don't know why the people keep swelling when they have no salt, like salt. Let's talk about salt. Do you know, if the government support you, they keep the salt very, very secure place that no one can get into it. You know, every food, but salt is the most. They don't want you to get salt. I don't know. And you cannot, you have a salt of 1 can, you know, 1 can of salt. You know, like condensed milk, normally they use as a measurement, you know, in those days. 1 can of salt or 1 can of rice, you can have 24 karat, 1 ounce of pure gold easily. Or you have a capsule of aspirin or the medicine, the modern medicine. Boy, is that a very valuable, more valuable than you know, than gold. You know, and it is something that you don't want to, you know, you don't hear more often, and unless you live there. I just keep working. I work 2 jobs since I came here. Like since 1990, I worked for the city and I found a job in Shattered Sea. You know Shattered Sea? So both I worked there since 1990 till 2006, and then she quit coming. And so I found a job. I work as a janitor now at the library and the municipal building. I work there maybe look like 15, 16 hours every 2 weeks. So I like to work because I make money. When I work for the company, I don't have any. They don't pay you. They pay you like 1 can of rice for 25 people. About what they pay you, and they push you to work to death. Believe it or not. Yep, that's the communists in Cambodia. And I have a family with me now, and I have a place to stay, and I work to make some money, and I'm happy to be in this country. So the way I choose this country, because in French they call it Le Monde Libre. Le Monde Libre means in English liberal world, because I taught French. I taught French when I taught 4th and 5th grader. And I think it's a comedy cannot come to these countries at one. Friendly too small, Australia, that I have the opportunity to go there too if I apply, but it's too small. I don't want to come to this US. It's the most powerful country in the world, so I decided to come to this country. Yep.